Welcome back to Talking Fitchburg. Joining me this morning are two lovely ladies from RetireeRebals.com. Good morning, ladies. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Glad to have you on board here. And I don't know if you can see from the wide shot, but you brought a really inspirational poster that I get to look at this whole time.
That's right.
So I don't forget anything about listening to your audio podcast, the whole 9 yards. So let's just get into your introductions here. So we'll start with Carol Larson. Talk a little bit about how you two met and how you got this whole thing started.
Well, Mary Helen likes to say it's always about the coffee. We met over a cup of coffee. We have a mutual friend who we were having separate lunches with. We had never met before. And she said, I've got this friend who talks about the same kind of issues that you do. She's just retired, and she's running into the same kinds of problems that you talk about. We should get you together. So Mary Helen and I had a cup of coffee, and indeed we did start talking about the same things. And we found out we had something else in common other than being retirees and knowing that retirement was not all that it cracked up to be. And that is that we had become kind of de facto counselors for all of our just retiring friends.
Sure.
And we sort of looked at each other and said, we need to talk about this. This needs to get out to a wider audience.
And then you just look at backgrounds. I was a teacher for 20 years. Carol worked in TV. And it was about getting that message out that people aren't alone. And I'm from a life coach kind of perspective. And so the more you can get people talking about issues, the easier it becomes for them to live their lives. And that's what we want our retirees to have, is a friend that they can turn us on. All they have to do is make a couple of clicks on their computer, and we're at their kitchen table with them so that they can just have a way to start thinking and talking.
And that idea that people don't tell you that retirement isn't exactly what all the mythology says.
After listening to a few of the podcasts,
Are you surprised?
Of this week's one that I listened to, I said to you guys earlier that I think my wife's going to leave me when it comes to retirement. You got me scared here. But anyways, I'm sorry not to interrupt you. No, the topics are awesome. And yeah, I've got a long time to retire, so easy for me to say. But I think what you guys got there put together is very nice. And I think the backgrounds are the key, that you've got the TV background and perspective, and really good scripting here too. But the coaching as well, I think, goes very well indeed. So,
Mary Helen has this, it really does work with clients just before retirement and then just after retirement. And that transition, again, people don't tell you that it's not all it's cracked up to be. You don't just flip a switch after 35, 40 years of work and go, there, I'm on vacation. It doesn't work that way.
And we know that when we go to college, we leave home and everything's very different, or when we're getting married, when you have the baby, all those other big times, and people will talk about those. You get more advice than Heinz has pickles once you're getting married or having a child. But when it comes to retired, especially the nearly and newly, people won't even use the word I'm retired because it means they're dead.
Right.
And they're not. They're not.
Yeah.
So that's what we really want to get out there, that it's not the peaceful, blissful, on the beach thing, but the real life issues to start talking about when you're in the early 50s. So by the time you're retired, you've got a plan. You can practice it a little bit.
I think that's cool to do the planning ahead of time. I've definitely been around of quite a few people that have retired over the years, and a lot of them, they're like, yep, I'm looking forward to just shutting down, kicking my feet up, and then a month later, yep, I got a job, and I didn't know what to do with myself, and
That's right.
So I think that this is really good. So talk about some of the stuff that you have on the website regarding the podcast then.
Well, we try to go through those kinds of issues that people are going to run into and nobody ever talks about. After a month, you're sort of looking around going, well, that was my to-do list. I got everything done. Now what do I do with myself? And also the fact that we're looking, the newly retired right now, they're baby boomers, and they're very work-oriented, and they don't sit still really well. So they're looking for, what's my next act? What's my next purpose? What's my next job? And a lot of them are going out and looking for jobs. But that's not so easy when you're 65 and over, because there's that ageism out there, and they start running into that, and they get ticked off. You got a lot of angry, newly retired people over there because they're trying to go out and use their skills to get a job, maybe part-time, and the jobs the age-appropriate jobs just aren't out there. You see a lot of people flipping burgers nowadays.
Yeah,
Right.
you really do.
Right, you do. And I knew that. The door that, from my last business closed, I was 62, and I knew nobody would ever hire me again. And so then you have to start creating, and you have to start going back in your life to figure out what are those things. I've got a short amount of time left. What is it that I want to leave the world? So that's why we did the 4 sections. You probably noted that on the website.
Did know that.
Yeah, we've got 4 separate things so people can choose what they like. Our favorite ones are the kitchen table talks, which is just like this.
Yeah, we just talk to each other about
Yeah.
the issues that are on our minds or things that we've run into. And that's fun. And Mary Helen brings all of the research and her experience forward. You also were a career counselor there for a long time. You know, many, many hats.
Well,
We both
in the
have worn
teaching, yeah.
many, many hats.
Sure, sure.
The chapters.
Yeah, you know, you hit the 60s and it's like you got a whole closet full in there.
Right.
You got skills.
Right.
So you know, so she brings to the podcast a lot of good ideas and suggestions, and we talk about those in the kitchen table talk.
And
She-
then
she
Carol
does-
gets to be snarky. Carol gets to.
That's how this show works.
I
Because,
know.
you know, the back and forth. That's the
Yeah.
life stories, the
That's
back
right.
and forth. That
So
works
Carol
well.
does the Carol Talks, and she gets to put it out there that we are a generation of the 60s that went through race issues. We went through feminism. We went through NAM. We are people that don't sit still when you tell us we can't do things. And so Carol gets to do all of that in her Carol's Talks, and then we have great interviews.
Yes, interviews and inspirational people. We've got a number of those, and are making lists of all the people we want to talk to, because there's nothing like, you know, looking at somebody who's been there and getting some ideas. It's like, well, they can do it. You can do it too.
Right.
One of my favorites was Sunny Knight, who went from being a long haul trucker to being the leader of a funk band, and he's traveling the world.
Yeah, he comes to
Wow.
Madison.
Yeah, he's just got incredible. You know, everyone in his band is less than 30, and he's 68, and he's
Yeah.
up there rocking. And it's like, he's like, I can do this. Why not? You
Right.
can do
And
this.
Jerry Epps talks about creativity in retirement,
yeah.
thinking about all of what are those pieces that everybody said, no, you can't get a job doing that. But there's still a real piece to us. So whether that's writing or drawing or walking or whatever it might be, that you can still do that in retirement. So those are our inspirational ones. So we've got the
Yep.
4 parts.
I love it. It's really good stuff. There was things that I could take from it, even now.
Right.
And being, you know, and keeping going through. Real quick, talk about the event. So you guys are going to be
Right.
here. That was the second reason we brought you in here, of course, is you've got an event coming up at the Senior Center on April 7th. What will folks be expecting when you come on in?
Well, we were the people who subscribe to our podcasts were looking for a way to get together, because one of the things that happens when you retire is you lose this network of people that you're always around. And I think they wanted just to meet each other because they're all talking about the same issues. And a lot of them are going through that first year of retirement. And as Mary Helen points out in a podcast about transitions, it's all big transitions are difficult in some way. They're disorienting at the very least. So we talk about those first kind of maybe rocky years of retirement, the things that people don't tell you, like the fact that your sleep patterns may be interrupted. There's some, pitfalls that, we just want people to know about. It's not them. It's just normal.
Right.
Right. And when you're working, a third of your life usually is at work. And now you take a third of your life away from all those people you work with, even the cranky guy down the hall. You start missing him. And so, but you're missing that social thing. And so that's what we really wanted to do, was to share and to provide an opportunity. And Fitchburg is doing this with us, is to put people together and we don't know what's going to happen, but we want people to come and to be able to talk to each other and to hear some tips and ideas on how they too can get through that first year of retirement.
Mm-hmm. So people can come if they're newly retired and they can bring their questions and their concerns. Or if they've been retired for a long time, come and bring your experience and your advice. How did you get through this? Because we're all just learning our
Or
way.
if you're in your 50s and you think it's going to happen to you, come then too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're really excited that next Thursday we'll be able to share this and see what, we're the whole Go Rebels thing, You have to be rebellious to be a retiree these days.
Yes.
You can't be in the rocking chair, ditch the rocking chair, and come out to Fitchburg Senior Center next week. That's what we want you to do. Come out and let's see what happens.
Go Rebels.
Go
There
Rebels.
you go. Well, Mary Helen and Carol, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
I think we'll talk afterwards. I think more
Oh,
here.
cool.
You guys just are interesting people. You've been everywhere. You got the good advice. So I think folks are going to come out for this, and it's going to be a fun time. So thank you guys for stopping by.
Thanks so much for having
good
us.
Good luck coming up.
Thank you. I think we